Ronna McDaniel would not appear on our air.
The fact that Ms. McDaniel is on the payroll at NBC News, to me, that is inexplicable.
It goes without saying that she will not be a guest on Morning Joe.
Ronna McDaniel will not be on our air.
Our sacred airwaves.
Welcome to this week's Wacky Moments of Leftist Extremism. Now, this was a week that MSNBC and NBC host Goose stepped in unison. They could not tolerate the opinion of someone that they disagree with. And they cried their crocodile tears over the network hiring former RNC chair Ronna McDaniel as a contributor.
The show has dedicated itself to a jarring pursuit of the uncomfortable truths about our politics and our political leaders.
The fact that Ms. McDaniel is on the payroll at NBC News, to me, that is inexplicable.
We weren't asked our opinion of the hiring, but if we were, we would have strongly objected to it.
You wouldn't hire a wise guy. You wouldn't hire a made man like a mobster to work at a DA's office.
You may have seen some news over the last few days about the hiring of former RNC chair Ronna McDaniel.
It goes without saying that she will not be a guest on Morning Joe.
Ronna McDaniel would not appear on our air.
Ronna McDaniel will not be on our air.
Our sacred airwaves.
Yes, they're sacred airwaves. They actually said that.
Our sacred airwaves.
Airwaves of pure leftist propaganda. They can't handle someone that has worked with former President Trump. I mean, she could explain why a good portion of the country supports him, and that might actually make their viewers have to think, and they couldn't possibly have that. I mean, bringing someone who has worked with the sitting president really hasn't been an issue for them before.
That kind of experience only matters and only has value to viewers, all of you, if it is paired with honesty.
Which is why Jen Psaki is on the network. I mean, she supported the Russian collusion lie, claimed Hunter Biden's laptop scandal was Russian disinformation, and that was a lie. But because she's so truthful, especially about all things Russian, well, perhaps she'll just have to hammer and sickle back to that. But the move to kill any dissenting voice worked, and NBC got rid of McDaniel in 48 hours. So propagandists, rejoice.
He explains, quote, "Our initial decision was made because of our deep commitment to presenting our audiences with a widely diverse set of viewpoints and experiences."
Very diverse. They range from the far left to the very far left. And heaven forbid we ever let Trump speak.
But this is a pure case of voter intimidation and election interference, and it shouldn't be allowed to happen. This case could have been brought by the DA, but they...
And the former president is repeating what he has said often, that this is a case of election interference, which is arguably not the fact.
That's arguably the fact. I mean, it's pretty reasonable to question why the case comes up during an election year. I'm sure the MSNBC propagandists will end up making that Trump's fault.
It's, of course, a lot of the delay in bringing the case, at least under, Prosecutor Bragg, not the previous investigation, had to do with the delays caused by all of the defense motions, Harry Littman. So he's been a big part of these delays.
Yeah, it's Trump's fault DA Bragg waited until 2023 to bring the case. And if Trump just didn't want to defend himself, well, the case would move a lot quicker. So you can see it's totally Trump's fault.
Caused by all of the defense motions.
The media just can't hide how much they hate the man. Earlier this week, they were excited, hoping to see his property get seized over the ridiculous civil bond.
You know what? We're going to take your golf club, or we're going to take your tower. And quite honestly, I would love to see the AG, the New York Attorney General, do that.
MSNBC journalist Jonathan Capehart, he would totally love that.
Quite honestly, I would love to see the AG, the New York Attorney General, do that.
You know what I would love? An unbiased media that would fact check bogus claims like this one.
The Francis Scott Key Bridge, which I've been over many, many times commuting from the state of Delaware in our train or by car.
The Francis Scott Key Bridge has never had rail lines attached to it, but don't expect an addled-brain Biden to know that. Unsurprisingly, none of the major evening newscasts covered this egregious fabrication. They chose to simply ignore it. And it's not the only thing they chose to ignore this week. CNN mouthpiece James Carville actually called for Team Biden to do the wet work, a deadly hit on Donald Trump.
But there are a lot of people to do what I call, quote, the wet work, unquote. And I think
like
he
a
needs
mob
to
hit.
stay sort of a... Yeah, well, it's kind of, but it's a paid TV and stuff like that. But yes, a CIA term. You take a guy out, take a guy out, take a guy out.
One can assume that Carville isn't literally speaking about having Trump killed, but I do remember last week how upset they were about the term
bloodbath. It wasn't the only dark warning.
Mr. Trump sparking controversy at a rally, saying there will be a, quote, bloodbath.
The Biden campaign criticized Trump's use of the word bloodbath.
But strangely, no one was upset about Carville using an assassination term regarding Trump.
To do what I call, quote, the wet work, unquote. Take a guy out.
I mean, he wasn't talking about the auto industry, so there's no need to take it completely out of context. It's always okay, you know, when they do it. Using sexist, ageist terms combined with a Nazi reference, well, that's completely okay if you're a leftist media host.
But we were conservatives when some of these women on Fox News who call us liberals were still playing with their Barbies, of course, Ava Braun edition.
Yeah.
Funny, you know, I don't see the Fox News women saying "yeah" to the insane rants of their lovers like Eva Braun did, but I have seen that elsewhere, though.
Yeah.
Also elsewhere in leftist media outlets, I've seen a coven of witches cackle in fear and cook up a crazy conspiracy about a third-party challenge to their dear leader.
Didn't he just choose a billionaire vice president who can now help him get on the ballots in different states and battleground states?
Well, here's the thing.
That's pretty smart.
It's one more bad message for folks that says you can buy the election.
Yeah, that's right.
It's another. You know, there's so many so many messages here that keep in mind what you're hearing. You're not supposed to be able to buy a message. You're not supposed to be able to buy an election.
They're so scared that they actually came up with this fringe conspiracy theory accusing RFK of trying to buy the election by picking billionaire Nicole Shanahan to be his vice president. Even though there's no evidence of the election being bought by them, but hey, who needs evidence? And again, it's totally okay if their guy, Senile Joe, gets a lot of money.
Radio City rally. President Biden looking to re-energize his re-election campaign with a star-studded fundraising event tonight.
The event is expected to draw about 5,000 people here to this iconic venue and rake in more than $25 million.
The fact that he can gather a celebrity presence to himself.
The event also set to feature appearances by Lizzo, Queen Latifah, and Ben Platt, among other celebrities.
He'll be joined by former President Clinton on the stage tonight. Former President Trump also nearby at the wake for a fallen police officer.
As for the fundraiser here tonight, the cheapest tickets have sold for $250, but the most expensive have gone to people who have contributed up to $500,000.
And Donald Trump is all about tearing all that ish down because he doesn't like it.
Well, you know, you can see why they have such biased coverage and hate him so much, can't you? I'm Eric Jenner from MRCTV, asking you to head over to the MRC homepage, click on that donation button to help keep videos like this one coming. Visit MRCTV.org for the latest in videos, information, and entertainment. And be sure to like, share, and subscribe to these videos on the social media platforms that actually let you see us. We'll be back next week with another look at leftist media madness.
I want to invite you as my guest on a very special, once-in-a-lifetime, 7-day post-election cruise in the Caribbean. It's going to be a blast.